Welcome to the Portland Amateur Radio monthly meeting. If you're listening to the Portland Amateur Radio repeater, this is our monthly meeting that we broadcast on the repeater. So this is a two-way conversation. So if you have any questions at any time during the meeting, feel free to just give your call through the repeater and we will be able to then come back and to you and you can ask questions through the repeater. So, and welcome everybody else to the Zoom session. Oh, hey, Mitch. Glad you could join.
Good to see you.
You too. All right, welcome everybody to the Portland Amateur Radio Club January 11th, 2021 meeting. So here's our agenda for tonight. We'll have our usual first-time park meeting participants introductions. Then we'll have repeater participant check-ins. And yeah, it looks like I duplicated the first-time park participants. We'll follow that with announcements and news. And then tonight's discussion is going to be park projects and activities. So this could include things that you guys are working on individually to kind of showcase what sort of things or either projects or activities. And then we'll talk a little bit about the club projects and activities that we might want to do in 2021. And then we'll follow that up with member questions and comments. So if anybody is on now, if this is your first time park meeting, we invite you to introduce yourself, give your name, your call sign. How did you find out about park and what kind of brought you to park and ham radio? Anybody new? This is their first time?
Yes.
Oh, hey, Andrew.
Hi, my name's Andrew, N7UL. And I used to live in Eugene where I had a pretty good setup down there up in the Southwest Hills. And now I moved to Portland on a postage stamp lot and trying to figure out what the heck to do here with the local diaper service, washing machines and all kinds of things create lots of interesting noises. So that's what one of my focuses right now is on receive antennas and receiving systems.
That's, I think that's a common problem that a lot of our Portland Amateur Radio Club members have, just because I know Nick and Dan both live kind of in very, the neighbors are very close. They have a lot of interfering, wall warts and solar panels and things like that. So I think that's definitely a topic that this club in particular will talk about. There's also some other remedies. Dan and Nick and some other people are very active in SOTA and POTA, which is essentially giving up on trying to get the noise floor down in the house and just taking the radio outside to the top of a mountain.
Right. Yes, I have a SOTA setup. I like to get out when I can. Although I used to do a lot of DX when I lived in Eugene, I had a lot with a bunch of nicely placed fir trees over 100 feet tall. So
nice.
Wire antennas were pretty useful, and I had a hex beam, so it was a nice setup. Here I'm looking more maybe at satellite. Still not giving up on HF. And I'm also getting really interested in ham-sci, the ham science side of it. I've always been interested. My background's physics and engineering, so that fits in pretty well. And right now I'm playing around with, have a pixel receive loop and a DX engineering amplified vertical receive antenna, and the antenna phaser, the NCC2, that I recently purchased in an attempt to try to bring the noise level down. And it helps, but you can't get rid of all the noise.
Yes. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining.
Side of town where you are. In which side of the town are you, Andrew? This is Marina.
In which where?
Which area of Portland are you located?
Yeah, I'm in the Lentz neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And hi, I'm Mitch. This is my first park meeting. I am Assistant Section Emergency Coordinator for ARES in the state of Oregon and Director of the Clackamas ARES organization. I know a few of you here, a bunch of you have been to my shop, and I've also participated in Field Day with a few of you. So great to see you all.
Awesome, thanks, Mitch. Is CARES having their meeting right now also, or?
No, oftentimes the OCARES meeting overlaps with the park meeting.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
About most of the months it does, but not this month.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you and welcome. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are, Jay, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and finish your thought. I was just another first timer.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so just so everybody knows, I may mute you if you're not like actively talking. Feel free to unmute yourself if you need to talk, but I'm just trying to keep the noise floor to a minimum. So I appreciate that. And go ahead, Jay.
Well, I'm Jay Wilt, WA7IRN, which was my original call back in the 60s. I live in the Selwood area, not too far from Dan Presley. And as a result of being involved in the net here, I reinstated my ham license, which had lapsed. But in the days that I was active, I was very much enjoyed building equipment. That was really my passion. I built all pieces in a radio station in multiple forms and many different antennas. And that later on led me to start a contract manufacturing company building electronic products, which was in Beaverton. So we had about 550 employees building all kinds of really cool high-tech stuff. So that's all interesting to me. And I was very fond of DX and chasing QSL cards and working out countries and states and all those types of things in Field Day back in the day. So I'm just kind of getting started again in ham radio and looking forward to learning a lot more about it. Things have obviously changed a great deal since I was active.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Jay, and I really appreciate you joining the meeting. We've been a pretty active club in Portland for quite a while. I think it goes all the way back to 1941. I wasn't around back then, but it's been a pretty good club. So thanks for joining. Anybody else that is their first time park meeting? All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. And if you're joining us from the repeater, this is the Portland Amateur Radio Club monthly meeting that you're listening to. Tonight's meeting is going to be about park activities and projects. Feel free to ask any questions just by throwing out your call sign onto the repeater, and we will allow you to. It's a two-way conversation. All right, so
the repeater seems to be muted at the moment. There was somebody on there that couldn't get any reaction.
Okay, let me find out. So the people that are doing the repeater are actually Pete and John White. So I will text them and ask them if they're transmitting that. All right, so I put this slide up because I wanted to just go over the general format of the meeting for this meeting and all future meetings. So we'll start the Zoom a little bit early before the meeting, usually around 6:45, 6:50. And then at 7 o'clock, the official start of the meeting, will have introductions and news and announcements. And then the main presentation starts at 7:30, and that will usually go an hour. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer. And we'll leave some time after the presentation for questions and answers. If we didn't get to all the news and announcements, we will talk about that after the presentation, and then we'll have a few minutes, 10 to 20 minutes of kind of social time if you guys want to stick around and talk amongst yourselves. So this is just kind of the general format for the meeting. So for repeater participants that are listening on to the repeater, I might skip this for just a second while I text to find out if the repeater's on. Is anybody listening to the repeater now that can either hear the meeting, or is it not coming through?
It's not coming through at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds like perhaps they're working on it. Somebody's trying to. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you very much.
I'll keep an ear out here in case anyone calls in and has a question, and we could relay it.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Sure.
So we'll skip the repeater check-ins. All right. So some news and announcements. This one has been kind of interesting. So the FCC license fee changes. FCC is now, they're switching from a congressionally mandated fee to a cost-based system of assessment. So based on the amount of time, loosely based, I think, they have to charge fees for things like new licenses, license renewals, vanity call sign applications. The good news is that mailing and email address changes are still going to be free if you do it directly through the FCC ULS, the Universal Licensing Service, which is their online database. So in a report and order on December 29th, the FCC decided to set the fee at $35. So right now there is no date for this change. The FCC has to publish it first, and then it will take effect approximately 30 days after it's published in some type of official government register. So, but there's no date yet even set for when it will be published. All right, so next news. I found this right below the announcement on the ARRL website for the fee is the FCC is now requiring email addresses to be attached to your license. So, and that's going to be this June, end of June, June 29th. So all new license applications have to include a new, your email address. So, and you can actually right now update your record with the FCC through their online system if you just log in and just make an update. And email addresses have to be where the operator receives electronic correspondence regarding the license, because it looks like what they're going to do is they may send you questions about your operation through the email instead of through the mail. So sometimes when hams get in trouble with jamming or other things they're not supposed to be doing, they FCC will send you a letter of notice, and then you have to so many days to respond to that. So if that happens, then and it bounces, then that actually can be a reason that they can either suspend or revoke your license. Cool. All right, and some good news. I don't know how many of you guys attended the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo last year. And that was last August. They had over 16,000 hams sign up for and attend either the live 2-day or the 30 days afterwards. They allowed for on-demand videos. So this year they're going to be doing it again, March 13th and 14th. I just got an email that you can actually register for it. So this year it's going to be $10 registration or $12 at the door. I didn't see any date by which you had to register until you get the $12 fee, but I suspect it's going to be like day of event or something like that, that you will have to register by. And again, this will be, they have speakers and presenters, panel discussions, and kit building workshops. It is pretty interesting. I didn't actually attend the same day event, but I looked at quite a few of the videos afterwards on their 30-day on demand after the expo ended. And I'll give this over to Dan. You want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing with the CW class?
Yeah, just got me off guard there for a second. Yeah, at this point, we have 2 sessions. Tuesday at 6 p.m. is kind of the beginning session. And so far we have roughly, I think we actually have about 12 people signed up. And we usually get, maybe 2/3 of the folks to attend at one time or another. And then at 7 o'clock is a more advanced session that Denny, WB7UFJ, who I think is on here, and hey, Denny, if you're here, he's been, kind of pushing those of us who are, already pretty CW proficient, but he's been pushing us, to do head copy or plain language and really trying to push our speed up. And so those are the 2 sessions at the moment. And I guess in the first session, we're probably about, maybe about half to 2/3 of the way through the alphabet. And we're starting to get moving along there. So that's kind of where we're at. So if we could still accommodate more in the beginning session, and definitely have a ton of space in the 7 p.m. group, for anybody that just wants to work on increasing their copy speed. So if you're interested in either of those, just drop me an email, and we'd be glad to accommodate you. And
Dan,
pardon?
I think you're not finished with all the letters and numbers. So people that want to join, can they join right now?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
If they may have to do some catch up, if they're starting from scratch. But a lot of the guys have kind of had some experience with CW. They're kind of going back and picking it up again. So if you're in that situation, I'm sure you could get in, and I'd be happy to work with them to, bring them up to speed. And also, it's funny, you've got the image of this book. This, if you're interested in CW, the image of the book here, which is published by ERRL, is a fantastic short read all about Morse code operating. It covers just about every aspect of what you need to get going, for code. And I highly recommend it. So
cool. Thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah. And I think we've got some more CW stuff coming up later. Nick,
yes.
KI7PTT is going to show us some fun stuff.
Yep. All right. So I did send out an email to all the people who are signed up on the Portland Amateur Radio Club email list. If you're not signed up on that email list, please send me an email if you'd like to be added. I'd be happy to add you. So they have an ARRL VHF contest that's coming up this next weekend, or this coming weekend. And it's a really easy way to get started in contesting or just having fun getting on the air and practicing with your radio. The great thing about this particular contest is that you don't need a HF radio with a large antenna for 40 or 20 meters. You can actually do this with just a simple handheld, whether it's a Baofeng radio or Yaesu, or you don't even really need an external antenna if you're in a good location. So for example, on top of Mount Sylvania, or if you are, your house is located in on top of something, or if you're near populated areas like downtown Portland or just Portland in general. So it is 33 hours of contesting. You don't have to participate in all of it. You can if you like. There are no time limits on this particular one. And it runs from 11 a.m. on Saturday to almost 8 o'clock on Sunday. And the exchange is simply your Maidenhead grid square locator, and a signal report is optional, and obviously your call sign would be required. But you can look up your Maidenhead grid square. Most of Portland, or at least the places, Southeast Portland is Charlie November 85. But if you live kind of outside, you may want to just make sure that you take a look at your Maidenhead grid square locator designation. And it's just the first 4 letters of that. More information at awrl.org/January VHF. And then Winterfield Day is also coming up this month before the next meeting, and that is going to be at the last full weekend of January. This year it falls January 30th through the 31st. And it's basically like Field Day, except it's colder here in the Pacific Northwest. So they do have indoor, outdoor, and home categories. So indoor is away from home, but it would be like in an insulated either cabin or somebody else's house or another building that's insulated. Outdoor would be uninsulated, could be a car, even an RV if the RV is uninsulated, but you can certainly have heaters, whether they're electric or propane. And home is for people who maybe look out the window and just decide it's too darn cold and you just want to use your regular radio and antennas, so that would be classified as a home station. It's a lot of fun. I've been participating in it for the last 4 years. I'd like to see if this is something that the club would be interested in doing as a group activity, not for this year, just for social distancing reasons, but maybe next year we can all get together and do an outdoor type of activity for this, like we do with Field Day. More information can be found at winterfieldday.com. It's a lot of fun. So even if you just tune in for a few minutes to listen in, it's all bands and all modes except FT8. So unlike regular Field Day, FT8 is not a Winter Field Day mode. We also have a Beginning Ham Radio series, and this is it's an informal weekly Zoom meeting, and a lot like this, except it's on Thursdays at 6 o'clock. We go for about an hour and a half, and really the goal of it is to get new people who are either newly licensed or they're thinking about getting their license, or they want to find out what radio they should buy, or they have questions about particular operating modes that they want to start running. We will actually start the meeting with 1 or 2 general topics to kind of get the conversation going. So last week, our general topic was the VHF contest that's coming up this weekend. But this coming week, I think we're going to talk about an antenna build that will be shown later in this meeting. And we reserve lots of time for Q&A. Everybody's welcome. So even if you're, in the hobby for 50 or 90 years, we welcome you. Maybe you won't ask a lot of questions, but maybe you can help answer some of the questions. So everybody's welcome. I do send out the invites in to the park email list. And I'll do that every week, because if you want to attend for this particular meeting, you just need to register every time. And the link will be the same until almost the end of December. So just click on the link, put your name and your email in, and then it sends you a link for joining the meeting. And if anybody has any questions on any of these, please feel free to stop me. One thing I'll announce for the next couple of meetings is that the Portland Amateur Radio Club has membership. And if you'd like to join as a member, it's just as simple as doing either PayPal or writing a check to Pete. It's probably the best value in ham radio at $18 for an individual and $24 for a family. We have some new and exciting things I think that are coming up later this year that are going to be offered kind of to members only. So we'd like everybody to join. If you can't join, that's fine. Feel free to keep coming to the meetings. Those are always free to members and non-members. All right, any questions about the news and announcements?
Ax,
yeah.
The repeater is up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Give me just a second. I won't need to text because I muted the repeater, but they'll need to unmute.
Yeah, Max, while you do that, there's a question in the chat about whether the membership dues are due at the beginning of the year or they can be any time of the year. And Pete's allows you to renew your membership any time of the year. I think in the past, if you come close to January of the next year, he'll roll it forward, but I'm not sure about that. Certainly he wouldn't charge you full dues fees. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick. Yeah, Pete's very good about either prorating it or making it still a very good deal, even if you sign up in November or December. So definitely, you can renew online too. If you go to the website, I'll just go back one, the www.w7lt.org. If you just go there, there's a membership link on the left-hand side, and it'll tell you exactly how to either renew or to sign up as a new member. Thanks, Nick. All right, for the people joining us on the 147.18 repeater, this is the Portland Amateur Radio Club monthly meeting, and we just went through our news and announcements, and we're going to move right on to what is normally the main presentation with a guest speaker. This month, we are doing a park activities and projects, and this is going to be an informal kind of interaction where we have members either show us what they've been working on as far as projects or what they've been doing with activities. And then we'll get some input from you for what you guys want to see coming into 2021. All right, so like I said, it'll be kind of open mic. Does anybody have any projects that they would like to share? And Nick, I'm gonna, I haven't done it yet, but I just need to pull up your video that you did.
Well,
but
if you want to do that, I can just preface it. It's a short video, about 3 minutes, I think. And it was just a way for me to show the QRP group of this club what I've been up to lately. And you'll probably hear me say this, but it's in the recent issue of QST. It's a project for an Arduino called the CW Elmer, and it's to teach you how to improve your fist on a straight key. And I'm learning Morse code on a paddle, but and you know, I'm sort of in between Dan's classes, so I'm sort of waiting for the first class to get the full complement, or at least a lot of characters, before I jump in there, because the other class is going way too fast for me. But you know, I've often wanted to learn to do a straight key or bug even. That'd be fun. And this project I jumped on because it seems pretty easy. The gentleman who wrote the article, David Duncan, K7DUN, provides the code for the Arduino. And I'm pretty sure everybody here is familiar with Arduino, so I'm not going to say much about that. It is actually for an Arduino Mini, which I don't have just laying around. I've got an Uno, it's actually a micro. It's not a Mini, and so essentially it's a little bit more powerful than the Uno. So I couldn't put my Uno to use. So I did have a bunch of these TI launch pads, these Texas Instruments launch pads, laying around, and so I ported the code over. And I had to do a little bit of, you know, hacking to, you know, cut out the extraneous stuff. And why don't you go ahead and show it, and then I'll finish up.
Yes, and got to make sure I turn on the sound too for the video. All right, here we go.
Okay, well, hi, this is Nick, KI7PTT, and I just wanted to share a project that I've
So I
done
apologize, I can't
based
hear
on.
that, and I know that you had some audio.
I could hear that actually.
Oh, you
Yeah,
could.
that sounded great. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'll just start over. Maybe it's just me that can't hear it.
Okay, well, hi, this is Nick, KI7PTT, and I just wanted to share a project that I've done based on a project that David Duncan, K7DUN, put in the most recent January 2021 issue of QST for a CW Elmer. He used an Arduino Micro. I didn't have one on hand, so I had one of these TI launch pads. It's got a MSP430 G52553, which is not the same as the Arduino chip. It's not as capable, but that required that I take some of Mr. Duncan's code and toss it out and keep what I wanted. So essentially all I wanted to do was have something check my straight key sending, because I'm just starting to learn that. So let's take a look. So his code cycles through several menus, and you can advance the menu by pressing the key down. I've disabled most of these menus except for the sending. So you press down and it basically gets this set up to track your sending. So I should be able to see if I can send my call sign. You can see it's only just putting the most recent character on the LCD. If I have time, I'll try to make it scroll so that I can follow what I'm doing. And on the top, so if I wanted to check to see why it didn't recognize what I sent, it's indicating whether it thought I sent a dash or a dot, and then giving the best guess at the character. So if I did something that didn't make any sense at all, that makes sense, but this wouldn't. It would come up with what it thought I sent and then indicate that it was undefined. So this is really actually kind of nice. It's just what I wanted to do. The other feature that I had incorporated was you can back out of this menu and then go into the options menu and change the words per minute that this thing's expecting you to enter. And so it's got a set, I think, of 5 of them, from 5 words per minute all the way up to 30 words per minute, and you would just select one of those. It defaults to 15, which seems to work for me. That's all I got to say about this. Take care. Bye-bye.
So just to finish up on that, you know, I'm not being capable at coding with a straight key. I'm going to pass this off to Dan and see. He's much better at it, and he can crank up the speed. But it's got kind of a clever way of timing your keystrokes, I guess it'd be. And I want to see to what extent switching from, let's say, 10 words per minute to 20 words and 30 words, it impacts, you know, a good key fist. It impacts the ability of the software to go ahead and copy correctly. So I've got a lot more work to do on it. The code is actually behind the login at the ARRL site. So and there is no license written in the code. So I'd like to get in touch with the owner, K7DUN, before I put it up on GitHub or anything like that, just to make sure that the license is a shareware license. So, but you know, it's really simple design of how he detects the DITs from the DAs. And one thing I haven't had time to look into is, you know, how it separates words from individual characters, or, you know, that's something I just started working today again on it a little bit, and trying to get the, you know, drop the DITs being represented by periods and DAs being represented by dashes, and just go ahead and drop all that, or maybe keep that, but keep it as a separate menu entry, and then just scrolling what you send, and maybe an asterisk if it couldn't copy what you sent, so that I could work on actually, getting words together in a decent fist. That's all I've got. If you got any questions, I'd be glad to help out. But it's an early project for me. So
it looks like on the how did you, because the project calls for kind of like an Arduino micro, but then it needs a speaker attached, and there's a couple of resistors and a couple of capacitors. How did you do that on your particular Arduino?
Yeah, well, it's actually not an Arduino. It's a Texas Instruments Launchpad, and then there's a booster pack. So I taught a community college class, and they gave me a bunch of these things, and I took them with me when I left. And so I've been looking for some project to use them for. The MSP 430 line of chips from TI are really designed around low power. So that's their forte, and they're not really very big. So this micro that David Duncan used, that's got EEPROM, so you can set things and save them for your next session, and it's got a lot going on. But what the Launchpad with the booster pack does is it takes care of that little piezo buzzer, and as you saw, the LCD was on there as well. I had to, the TI, strangely enough, didn't wire that LCD right, and it would blank out on you occasionally because chip select hadn't been wired up, actually. So I had to make some modifications as well.
Very nice. Yeah, I tried to put one together, and I tried using a Arduino Nano. It does not work with the Nano. It's just there's not quite enough memory in it for the program. I did end up ordering the micro, and all of these things are pretty inexpensive. I think I ordered 3 of the micro units for $17 off of Amazon. And the LCD, I think, cost me $4 from eBay. I had the capacitors and resistors, and then the speaker, I think I bought 10 of them for $5 or something like that. It's just a micro kind of speaker. So I was able to just use a breadboard to put it all together, although I haven't gotten quite as far as Nick has with actually turning it on. So if anybody wants to build this project, I can say that it's definitely something you could easily do in an hour or 2 hours if you take a lot of smoke breaks. So cool. Thank you, Nick.
Nick, we expect your sending to skyrocket.
I'm sure I'm going to gravitate to the paddle and the keyer right away as soon as things get going. But I remember I did attend this. Dan and Max and I went down to the KPH commercial station down in Marin, and they had this really nice station there where you could just walk up to it and practice your straight keying. And I looked at that thing and I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I could even key anything on this. So that made me realize, geez, I should make a modicum of effort to get a straight key going.
Yeah.
I don't know about a bug though. That'll be a bigger challenge.
Yeah. The bug is, kind of a beast all of its own. I'm just starting to get back. I used to be pretty good with the bug and laid off, but I'm good to about 20 or 25 with the straight key, if things go right. So we'll test this out, see how it goes.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. Actually, so Dan, Dan was mentioning I want to give him this thing and just have him run it through the paces, and he said, "Well, I'll have to see. We'll have to be able to calibrate it." And I was just like, don't worry about that. Just tell me if 10, 20, and 30 are different from each other.
And that's fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. No, I mean, just in general, I'd like well, I'd like to do that as a little project, is to be able to calibrate various keyers, because, I'm not always sure that they're, one rig's 20 words per minute is the same as the next rig, so it would be nice to have a standalone way, without going through the, you could do the manual calculations with a timer, and but it would be nice to have a device that you could use just to sort of, independently calculate. Maybe somebody's done it, quite possibly. So if any of you out there looking for a challenge, this would be a good one.
Yeah, and I hope to take this code and work with it a little bit, so we could get a better sense of really what's good FIST. Marino had put he's put a link to the code here, but there's also fistchecker.com or a FIST checker online. No, it's actually something you download to a Windows box, and you need something to basically bring your keyer into the computer. And that one sounds really nice. It looks like it does graphic representation. But what I like about this is it's, if you can just power at 5 volts, you don't need a computer, and that's fine with me.
Right. Right.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick, and thanks, Dan. And it looks like we got the repeater up. So for those of you who are listening on the 147.18 Portland repeater, you are listening to the Portland Amateur Radio Club monthly meeting. We normally start the meeting at about 7:30. Tonight's meeting is about projects and activities that both the members are doing, and also projects and activities for the club members as a group for 2021. The repeater is a two-way, so if you'd like to ask a question of the group at any time, please just key up the repeater and give your call. And at this time, we usually do this in the beginning, but we had a little issue with the repeater that I think has been fixed now. If you would like to check in, let us know that you're listening to the repeater and this meeting, please give your call.
Well, W7PR, I'm on the repeater now and also on the Zoom meeting, but I've got the Zoom muted up here tonight. This is Pete, and I'm up in Mount Scott with John. We come up here to do the linking to the repeater. So enjoyed your little presentation, Nick. This is W7PR.
Cool. Thank you very much, Pete, for that. Anybody else that would like to check in, please come now. I will check back in a little bit. All right, moving on. So we're still on the member projects. Anybody else have any projects or activities that they are currently participating in, or currently building, or just built, or would like to talk about?
Let's see, I'm on the Zoom now, Max. This is Pete. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So as I said, we're up here at Mount Scott tonight. And we're going into the communications vault here, communications suite. And I don't know how well it'll work, but I'm going to try to show you guys one of the projects we have underway for the club. I know most of you are aware that we're working on some antenna equipment up here at Mount Scott. And one of the things we're doing is adding a new VHF antenna. It's a 4-bay folded dipole. It's made by a company called Comprod, and very heavy duty antenna. It's all aluminum tubing, but it's all of the phasing harness and everything is inside the antenna mast. And so there's no exposed coax until you get down to the feed point. And then you have coax down the tower to the communication suite. But this is going to be our our primary VHF transmit antenna at Mount Scott, and it'll be run through there's a word for it. I can't think right off. It's the opposite of a multi-coupler for receivers, but it allows us to put multiple antennas into one, or multiple transmitters into one antenna. So I'm going to turn around, and the trick will be if I don't lose my audio here. So now we're looking into the vault, the communications suite here, and
hey, Pete, I just wanted to suggest to Max that maybe he put you full screen so we could see that better. Max, is that something you could do?
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
Thanks, Pete.
Well,
Nick.
Let me get myself out of the picture. Now I can kind of see what's going on. So there's other equipment up here at Mount Scott, commercial equipment, and that's in the rack closest to me, the one on your left on the screen, and then the blue rack in the closest blue rack is also commercial. I think these are primarily have to do with broadcast.
The word you're looking for is combiner.
Combiner, yes. So that's the word I was forgetting, was a combiner for running multiple transmitters into one antenna, and which is commonly done in the commercial two-way world. But anyway, so then the blue rack way in the background, kind of in the center of the screen, that's the equipment rack for the park equipment, our repeaters and the computer and the equipment for the data stations, the WinLink and the APRS system that Bill and Marino and Wayne and so forth have been working on. So in the foreground here, it's kind of low. I'm going to sort of bend down. Here's the antenna, and it's laying on the floor here. And now I'll try and get up and get a little better picture. I haven't taken the wood off of the elements yet. So any of you
Oh, Pete, we lost your audio. I think you accidentally hit the mute button.
Oh,
there we go.
Now, is my audio back now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I got to turn my volume up so I can hear you. There is fan noise in this room. So, sorry it's such a poor picture, but in any event, the elements are underneath the board and they're just folded loops. And there's 4 of them that run the length of the antenna. And it's difficult to do the camera work like this. But anyway, the antenna is actually quite long. It's on the order of 20 feet long or so. It runs quite a ways up here. And you get an idea of it. But, and we're looking at the base of it's down there now. So once we have it outside, we'll take the boards off. But in the rack, we have 3 Yaesu Fusion repeaters.
There's actually 4.
Oh, I stand corrected. There's 4 of them. There's another one down low. And the one down low, the display is turned on. It's down here. This guy down here.
That's the 718 here.
And that's for 718 down low there. And then we have a couple power supplies. We have the APRS is here. And the WinLink is over on this side. Those are Kenwood mobile radios that are set up for that. And then the computer is on the same tray behind those radios. Stand by.
Across is the diplexer for the WinLink/APRS.
Oh yes, okay. And that's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those of you that haven't been up here recently, this is the diplexer for the WinLink and the APRS data systems, and that allows us to run the different antennas into the different radios and get everything to work on a single antenna. And so this is another private repeater here, this little green box. Going back to our rack, on the top we have a pair of, actually 3 power amplifiers. Up at the top is a Henry, and then there's a pair of Crescend PAs. And I think these are, there's what, 2 VHF and 1 UHF?
Oh, they're all 3 that we're looking at there are
Yeah, these are all VHF amplifiers, and they're all running roughly 100 watts output. If we go over here, you've all heard of duplexers. And duplexers are used to allow us to run one antenna and then split it between a transmitter and receiver and transmit and receive simultaneously on the single antenna. And so, let's see, the bottom is 718.
Bottom is 718.
Yeah, the bottom
one is 94.
This bottom duplexer, and basically these are cavities. This duplexer is for 718, for 14718, and then the upper one is the 14694 duplexer, because we have the two VHF repeaters up here. And then we can take a look in the back of the rack, and here we have a UHF duplexer here. We do have a UHF repeater up here that's actually running on one of the Fusion repeater boxes. And this is the back of the 3 Fusion repeaters. Here we have the small, very small computer that is handling the data stations, the APRS and the WinLink. And then all the power distribution, 120 volt and then 12 volt power supplies down in the bottom section of the rack. So this gives you an idea.
By the way, there's the UPS in the bottom that carries the computer stuff through power fail.
Yes.
So this system is on a 170 kW generator.
So John White's up here, as you know. He's saying we also have a UPS power supply up here, uninterruptible power supply, battery backup, and that bridges us over until the standby diesel 75 kW genset starts up, and it's down in the basement. And I'm just going to check in with you, Max. Are you hearing me okay still?
Peter, there is a question. Peter, this is Marina. There is a question from the audience. They want to know if the Yaesu repeaters are DR2Xs.
Yes, I think what we have is a little bit of a mix on the repeaters. I'm actually looking at them now. I have, at the top here, we have a DR1X. Okay, we've got 3 DR1Xs. And then down lower, we have the DR2 down at the bottom here. This is a DR2, which is the newer version of the Yaesu Fusion repeater. And I'll bet that question came from Mitch. I saw Mitch is on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, Mitch. I'm glad to see you on here. Any other questions?
And we can do a real quick look, see at the other stuff that's in the trail.
Oh, you're talking about broadcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe what we should do, Max, is turn the meeting back. Maybe someone else has something. And then if folks are interested, we can take you on a little bit of a video tour of the AM, the AM broadcast equipment up here. That would be something else that might interest people.
Okay.
I'll turn it back to you for the moment.
Great. Thank you very much, Pete, for that.
Well.
And does anybody have any questions for Pete on what we saw so far? Cool. Anybody that has any activities that they've been participating in recently, SOTA, POTA, anything like that, or anything that's they have coming up or they're trying to work on now, but you're kind of stuck on and need some help. So one of the great things about the club is that if you're stumbling on something or you think you need some help, there's a lot of smart people here that can kind of point you in the right direction.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just talk for a second here about Straight Key Night. It kind of came to mind with, Nick talking about the Straight Key. The Straight Key Night, in case for those of you who are not familiar, on New Year's Eve, every year, the ARRL sponsors an activity for 24 hours, starting at midnight or UTC, which it happens to be 4 p.m. our time until 4 p.m. the following day. It's called Straight Key Night. But the idea for you to dust off your straight key, get on the air, and also, in addition, if you have some older rigs, go ahead and fire those up. So I was able to do that this year. I've got what we affectionately call boat anchors. I've got some receivers in the 1940s and 50s and transmitters that I do like to fire up. And as we say, it's kind of like firing up a steam engine. You don't throw one switch and get on the air. There's about 8 or 10 different switches to throw to activate all the pieces of equipment, allow it to warm up. And then there's the particular joy, as I call it, of trying to make sure that your transmit signal is actually on the same frequency as your receive signal, because this is not your typical transceiver. So it's a real challenge. And of course, the old timers got pretty good with it. But anyway, it's just kind of a fun activity. And I was able to get everything up and running in pretty good order, and made some contacts on 40 and 20 meters. The most interesting contact was with a gentleman in Maine who was running an entire World War II setup, except that his straight key was from a German World War II submarine. So that was kind of an interesting thing. So he had an American World War II receiver and transmitter, then he had the German key. And so that was kind of a fun little contact. So the Straight Key Night is just something to tuck into the back of your head. You can use a modern rig, but if you enjoy, heating up the shack with multiple tubes, I think I counted when I have everything up and running. I think it's like about 26 or 27 tubes pumping out heat. So it does warm up the shack.
Yeah, Dan, that's one of the events that if you're new to CW or you've not tried out a straight key for a while, people are very forgiving on Straight Key Night. It's a great place to find some slow CW, especially with the straight key. Cool. Any questions for Dan? And for those of you listening on the Portland Amateur Radio Club repeater, you're listening to the Portland Amateur Radio Club monthly meeting. We are doing a presentation tonight regarding Portland Amateur Radio Club projects and activities.
Max?
If you have any, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let folks know that SOTA activity is alive and well in Portland, even in the rain in the winter. There will be a number of people probably out Saturday and Sunday, both doing the VHF contest and operating from local peaks. I will probably be up around Larch Mountain. I did Larch last Saturday, and I'm going to do another mountain, another hill up there, probably Silver Star. And so if you are interested in the VHF contest, listen for SOTA activators on 146.58. You'll sometimes hear them on 5.2, and you'll sometimes hear them on 5.6. But generally speaking, most of us in the area are trying to use the 146.58 frequency simplex for SOTA activations. And most folks are on the air between 9 o'clock and 1 or 2. If anyone wants more information about SOTA, drop me an email, and I can point you to a couple of websites that spot and alert, set up spots and alerts for people who are going to be on the air. Most of us are pretty slow CW operators, so if you like to do 12 words a minute, we're your people. Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Bill. Bill, you're doing HF and VHF?
I am if the conditions are okay. If it's raining cats and dogs, I'm just going to do VHF.
Okay.
But if it's not too cold, too wet, or too windy, I typically set up an HF antenna and work at least 40 and 30, 40 and 20 meters. And I will be both on sideband and CW.
Very nice. I think one of the great things about the upcoming VHF contest is if you guys participate in it, you can really help out these SOTA people that are climbing up to the top of the mountains, usually in the rain and definitely in the cold this time of year. They will very much appreciate your contacts for SOTA. So, Bill, you said from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday?
Well, though people will be out longer than that, but if you're just looking for a window where you'll find people there, most likely. Last week at Larch Mountain, I had a problem with my HF gear, but I had half a dozen 2-meter contacts between 9 and 9:30. So again, if you look at SOTA Watch 3 is one of the alert sites, but send me an email or I'll post something over on the park groups.io list with some websites that you can use. And the weather does look, as someone's just posted, Gary did, the weather actually looks pretty good for Saturday, which will probably mean there are a lot of people out on hills.
That's great. Thank you, Bill. And this is usually Saturday and Sunday, right, for SOTA?
Yeah, and I go out on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I can get away from the house because the parks tend to be less crowded. In the winter, the hills aren't too crowded anyway. I mean, it was 33 degrees and the wind was blowing at 20 miles an hour up on Larch. So before 11 o'clock, I pretty much had the place to myself.
Nice. Thank you very much. And I want to just take a... Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to comment, are we still going to try to take a group of people to Sylvania on Sunday?
Yes, Sunday. And you said around...
I was thinking around 11 or 12.
11?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. And Sylvania also happens to be a SOTA site. And I think it was, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, I drug Jay up there, Jay Wilt, who's on there. I think I drug him up and a group of other people. And we did some VHF contesting and also some SOTA contacts. And so, if folks are interested, but maybe don't want to, go to the extremes, there's a location right in the city. It's actually up by PCC Sylvania, and it's a city park. So it's pretty easy access, if you're not into, long hikes. And, we can get up there and still get some pretty good elevation and, work folks for the both the VHF contest and see if we can get some soda activators.
Yeah, that'd be great, Dan. So that's this Sunday at about 11 a.m. On. I'll be there too. So if you're interested in the VHF contest and you're interested in soda or either or, that would be a great time to actually do both. So when you make contacts up there on Sunday or anytime this weekend after 11, you're actually doing both soda and the VHF contest.
Yeah, I think I'll probably try to get back up to Ball Peak perhaps on Saturday, or one of the other locations.
Oh, that's great.
Set up. In fact, Bill, if you're still here, I had a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are you doing to keep your hands warm when you do CW?
Sticking them, my CW is so slow that I'm certainly not going to warm them up doing that. I tend to take hand warmers with me.
Sure.
The kind that you press together, the chemical hand warmers.
Right.
And one of the nice things about doing soda like this, where I'm not really concerned about getting most of the times getting 2 or 3 peaks in one day, it's a really kind of leisurely activity. I took a chair up with me I took one of my really light camp chairs up to Larch yesterday or Saturday. And, when my hands got cold, I just put my gloves on and hung out and had coffee for a couple of minutes.
Perfect.
I am disappointed, Bill. I thought you were going to tell us that you were not using your hand, just using your teeth because you were so cold.
I have to tell you, I did not dress. I thought, 36 degrees won't be so bad. But after I'd been up there about 2.5 hours, and I started having problems with the HF, it was really time to just pack it up and jog down the hill to get warm again. So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right. For those who are listening on the repeater, this is the Portland Amateur Radio monthly meeting. I just want to take a couple seconds. If anybody wants to check in from the repeater, just key up the repeater and give your call sign. Thank you, KF7YUJ. And feel free to just throw out your call sign if you have any questions at any time. I'll try to kind of pause to listen in. The repeater audio is a little bit low, but we can hear you. Anybody else that'd like to check in that's listening to the repeater? All right, we'll check back in a couple minutes. So park activities, this is something I wanted to just review with everybody, get your input on it. So our current park activities that we've been doing for the last couple of years are kind of just listed at the bottom there in the 2021 budget. So field day is the big one. That's at the last full weekend in June. And then we have a park picnic. We didn't have one, I believe, this year. Because of COVID, but we did have one. When I say this year, I mean 2020. My brain hasn't quite caught up yet, but I expect that we might be able to do a park picnic in 2021, just kind of depending on local recommendations for COVID. So those are our 2 current activities. Our future park activities, I have some suggestions on the next slide, but right now what we have budgeted for the club is these 2. Go ahead, Nick.
Max, are you sharing your screen? I'm not seeing it.
I apologize. Yeah, I will share it right now. There we go. And you guys can see that okay?
Much better.
Cool. All right, so the next slide is, these are just some suggestions that Dan and I kind of came up with. Winter field day, we could do potentially in 2022, get a group together similar to how we do regular field day in June. VHF contests, we have the one this coming weekend, but there's actually one, I believe, in June and September that the ARRL puts on. Again, really easy to do with your handheld, or you can actually get into single sideband or CW with that. Fox hunts are a pretty neat activity where we can put out a Fox, which is just a small transmitter, usually transmitting only 1 watt or less. Because we really can't do that in large groups, as in the past, one suggestion would be we could do a 24-hour event where at your leisure for a 24-hour period, you can go out and try to find where the transmitter is. So it's basically a transmitter hunt. So that's one activity that we could do. Kit building is something that we can do. We've, Dan and I have kind of been throwing back and forth some simple kits that would be great for park members to build and actually use. So it should be something useful. And one of those things that we kind of came up with is an antenna build. In the October issue of QST, there's an article about a spirally loaded copper tape and PVC dipole. To me, it looks like a barber pole. This is something that you can actually build for, I think he said under $10. It's really just a stick of 1 1/4 inch PVC, some copper foil tape, and some coax with a cap on the top. If you were to put this outside, for example, mounted onto your roof peak or something, you could just cover it up with something else like a 1 1/2 inch PVC with a cap on it. And then after we built it as a club, probably not as a group, but we could make sure everybody has the materials and then everybody can build it at home. And this would be one great activity if you only have like a handheld or you have a mobile radio, but you don't have an external antenna. So once you get your first radio, the next best thing to get is a good antenna, good outdoor antenna. Anybody else have anything that they would like to see happen as a club event this year, or anything that they're doing now? Anybody interested in actually getting together next year for Winter Field Day?
I have a question for Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Sylvania, the park over there, Lake Oswego, what hours are you going to be up there? Are you going to be up there Saturday and Sunday, Sunday only, or what are you going to be up there?
I'm probably Sunday. Max and I'll be up there probably 11 o'clock, and we'll stick around as long as there's people there. So we'll be there. Yeah, let's say 11. I was thinking noon, but I should be able to crawl out of bed and be there by 11.
Okay.
Perfect.
Plan on meeting you guys up there. I'll see you Sunday.
Great.
11 o'clock or so.
Perfect.
All right.
Good.
Cool. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, let's do Winter Field Day in 2022. I mean, yeah. we can do it from home, or this year, and I may actually try to combine it with something like a soda outing or something similar, depending on the weather.
Yeah, and I haven't read the rules for this year. There are some COVID changes. They don't impact necessarily individual participants. They're really more if you're going to do it as a club or a group. I think they may allow combining scores or something like that. But if you go to winterfieldday.com, just take a look at the rules. That's kind of what we did last year. And I'm just going to really quick go through the 2020 Field Day results. So last June, we got together as a group, and our Oregon City site, which kind of was the main park field day site, we got a total score of 4,115 points. and aggregate club score was 5,119 points. So there were 5 total sites for the club. I'm going to skip ahead to the aggregate sites. So these are the people that contributed to that aggregate score. Bill, Mark Wirt, Ken Christman, Owen Christman, Michael Downey, and the park. So I really want to thank the people who are up here that operated from home or as a portable, not at the official park site, who then submitted their club, their logbook, and mentioned that they were part of Portland Amateur Radio Club, because you then contributed to the aggregate score of the 5119. So thank you very much. This is was published in the December issue of QST. So this is at the top line there. You can see Portland ARC W7LT. Total QSOs was 388. We had 5 sites, so the 4 people that I mentioned before, plus the one in Oregon City. Total of 12 participants, and total points of 4115. That's the non-aggregate. If you look at the QST issue, if you go back to the very front, they list all the clubs, and that's where the 5119 is listed. So this is the first time that ARRL is listing the aggregate club score. I suspect they'll probably do that again this year. So if you're planning to participate in field day, but you don't want to join us at the Oregon City site, feel free to either be a portable station, a home station, and just submit your club log, or excuse me, your field day log, and put Portland Amateur Radio Club as the club that you belong to, and you'll contribute to the club points. Any questions on that? Cool. So thank you again to all the people that participated by themselves, but then contributed. All right, so I was thinking about future meeting presentation ideas. Dan and I came up with kind of a good list to start with. Bill is part of the GQRP club, and so we thought we might try to twist their arm and get them to give us a presentation on what they're doing, what their club is, and things like that. Buddy Pool is a local company here in, I think they're located in Beaverton, to have them present kind of what their, how Buddy Pool started and what they're kind of doing now. It's a great antenna to take out for SOTA, or even if you live in an apartment and you can't put up permanent antennas. Dan and I thought we both really needed a presentation on logging. You know, there's the whole contacting and making QSOs, but one thing that I'm not great at doing, I'll admit it, is actually logging those. When you make QSOs for VHF contests or other contests, or SOTA or POTA, even if you're just at home, it's highly recommended that you log those and then you submit your logs to whatever organization that is sponsoring either the contest or the activity. And that's because these organizations like SOTA, they use your log that you submit to check to make sure that the other person, the log that they submitted is correct. So there's many ways to log, N1MM, M3JFP, and then we're looking for somebody for this particular presentation. So if you are good at or know somebody that's good at logging with either paper or electronic, or they're submitting all their stuff to Logbook of the World, let me know. I definitely would like to talk with them. One thing that we're thinking about is remote SDR and RBN and spotting networks. So a presentation kind of covering all 3 of those. One on emergency power, batteries, generators, solar power, things like that. And I have somebody in mind for the satellite and ISS, getting involved in satellite repeaters, talking with the astronauts on the ISS, and slow scan TV pictures that they send down quite often. It seems like they're doing it every few months now. We'd like to invite some ham radio clubs in other countries, find out what they're doing as a club and what it's like being a ham radio operator in a different country. And then I may try to twist some arms for other park members. I know a few people that are in park who are doing wonderful projects, and maybe see if we can get them to do a presentation. So if you'd like to be a park presenter, it's actually not as hard as you might think. Or if you want to suggest any future park topics, please feel free to send me an email. It's up on the screen. It's max@noltra.com, NOLTRA. Cool. And I'm just going to go back to any questions on any of that. Are there any particular topics that you guys want to see in the future for presentations?
Could I see the barber slide?
Yeah.
Barber pole slide again?
Yes. And again, this was in October QST 2020. So just a couple months ago. And I think what we'll do is try to coordinate so that we can make some basic parts and then have you guys put it together if you like. Or if you want to just go take a look at the QST and put it all together yourself because you already have the parts, that would be wonderful too. But I do have some copper tape and other things that I can loan out or give to you guys.
Well, you got at least one person interested. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
I spent some winters in Santa Maria, California. Met John Portune.
I'm sorry, say that again, Steve.
I spent some winters in Santa Maria, California, and met with John Portune a number of times.
Oh, that's a great.
Yeah. Interesting character.
Yeah, it seems like a really great design. I don't know if that's one of his originals.
Probably is. He all sorts of creative things like that.
Very nice. Anybody else have any suggestions on either presentations that they'd like to see or activities that you would like to do this year?
Max.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
All right. Excuse me. I was just going to mention briefly about, the possibility of linking up with the astronomy group. I'm just thinking I'll throw that out there, as an activity that, at this point, we don't know exactly when it could happen. But basically what this is I ended up in contact with a group that is building an observatory at the Evergreen Air Park Museum in McMinnville. And I had some initial conversations with the folks, and they're extremely interested in becoming involved with amateur radio operators to help them communicate both to other astronomy groups during the event, and also, interested in satellite and space station, contacts. But their plan, and they're starting to get the funding together, is to get a permanent observatory at the Evergreen Air Park Museum outside of McMinnville. And so that might be something that might be fun for us, to be involved in. And again, this is long term. It's hard to say if it's going to even come together in 2021, but they're pretty motivated. So that's just something that kind of a teaser that we'll throw out there.
Yeah, and Dan, I think you said that they're interested in having kind of a communication link between multiple sites. Is that right?
Yeah. During the middle of an observation event or something of that nature, which could be an interesting technical challenge for us, but it might be fun, you know, or at least something to explore. You know, there's a lot of question marks there, but certainly some level of coordination, and they were familiar enough with ham radio to be extremely interested. So we'll just say that's something that we're going to continue to look at.
That's great. Yeah. So if you or Dan or I hear in the future about any new things about that, we'll definitely bring it to you guys.
Hey, Max?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Schomuller here. If you're looking for an indication of interest, I think you've got several really good things lined up here. I personally would find the presentations on satellite communication and on logging and emergency power very interesting. So looks like a good lineup for the next year.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, and if anybody knows anybody that is really good at logging, let me know.
Also, we're going to try to coordinate with the ARRL and see if we can get a couple presentations, perhaps one on Logbook of the World, because that could almost take a full meeting. The other possible presentation I'm working on, there's the gentleman, I forget his call, but his name is Bob Allison, and he's head of the product review part for the ARRL in particular. They do the monthly product reviews. Anyway, I heard him do a great little presentation on getting into kind of the nuts and bolts of selecting an HF radio. And there was a lot of interesting information that he brought to the table that I hadn't even considered. I've done a lot of HF work, as have a lot of folks on here. But his presentation was interesting enough and helped to kind of clear the air on a lot of issues. Everybody, it's not just a matter of favorite radios, but taking a number of aspects into consideration. So I'm working on trying to see if he will do a similar presentation for us. And I think that would be very interesting. So that's another one we're working on.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I forgot to put that on the list.
Logging, the ARRL publishes a logbook. Here's a picture of it if you want to look. And I keep a log with it all the time.
Yeah, the FCC used to require ham radio operators to keep a log, and back when that was one of the rules, really paper's all we had. Today we have a lot of different options. A lot of people like N1MM. I myself tried to learn it over a period of a couple days, and I think I need an Elmer to kind of help me with that particular one. The other one that we use for field day is a lot easier, but not necessarily as flexible.
I log all my HF contacts, but not any VHF, UHF stuff.
Yeah.
VHF, yes.
That's very good. All right, last call. Anybody have any other projects or activities that they are either working on or would like to suggest as a club project or activity?
Max, I'm not a club member, but I can show you some picture of a project I've been working on.
That'd be great.
So if you give me if I can share the screen.
Yes, let me stop sharing. I just have to find my meeting controls. Yeah, go ahead.
I cannot. You disabled screen sharing.
Yeah, try one more time.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to start with this one. Can you see it?
I can't.
Oh, we just see your camera.
Let me.
There you go.
Here.
You
so that's a Raspberry Pi hat we designed and built with a friend. And so the thing you see in the middle is a radio. It's a 100 watt, not 100, 1 watt radio. And we can use that hat with Raspberry, of course, with a Direwolf for APRS. We use that hat also for All-Star, Echolink. And I've been doing some tests also with the digital, but with 1 watt, it doesn't go, that far. And so the thing interesting with that board is, I'm gonna change screen. Give me 1 sec. So if you don't install the radio, what you can do, you can put a header like that, and you can. So this one is configured to be plugged on the back of Nalinco 130. I don't remember the letter D135 or something like that, or the 440 version. So that that board can be used as, in different way. I can show you another project I've been working on. This one is for HF. So one of the things I've been working on also is, so I have 2 antennas outside, and share. So I have two antennas outside, and I wanted to use a remote switch that was, that I could use the, switch antennas using Wi-Fi. So I built that antenna switch using an ESP8 8266. It's like an Arduino with a Wi-Fi, but it's an Arduino on steroid. It has more memory, a bigger CPU, and also and faster CPU also. So you can see the box with the all the relays. That's the switch, and the box on the side. That's the bias T. So I inject the power from my shack and send the power to that box that is outside at my antenna. So here's the 2 projects I've been working on recently, and so they're working. I'm using them right now. I put the antenna switch maybe in place a month and a half ago, and seems to be working pretty well. Also, one of the things is I have a Wi-Fi outside, in my backyard, so it helps because my house is all a Faraday cage. So without the Wi-Fi outside, that wouldn't work. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much, guys.
Wow, thank you very much. That's impressive. Now, I have a question for you. The hat, is that something that you're producing for other people to kind of either put together as a kit or as a product?
Neither. So
okay.
When if you see, like you can see on the antenna switch, also you have a board that that I design, and usually what I do is I order those boards in China. You can design those boards. You send them all the files. They print the board and they send you that thing. A couple of days later, and you receive but you need to order a quota, a number minimum of those boards. So usually I order 10, and I give them to friends, and or I sell them on a site called Tindie. So if you look for W6IPA on Tindie, you can find one of those, the PCB. So the PCB, it comes with almost all the components. So the USB, the sound card is installed, all the resistor, all the the SMD components are already installed. The only thing you need to solder on those boards are the header for the Raspberry Pi, the filter, and the radio, and also the SMA. That's the only thing you need to find by yourself. So it's not really a kit. It's not really a product that we're selling. You can, we have some leftover boards, and you can buy one if you're interested.
that's great. And is that the same for the antenna switch?
The antenna switch, yeah, I have 10 of those boards and can be bought. And also I have so I'm gonna share one more screen. This one, that's the board for the BIST, the power injector. So I have also a bunch of those boards. If people.
Wow.
Well, I will have to say that is very impressive.
Max, I think we're going to have to talk to this gentleman about doing a club project and helping.
Yes.
Yeah, but the gentleman is in San Francisco. It's kind of far away.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
you look very close to us. You're just on the other side of the screen.
Exactly. This is wonderful. Yeah, they look great.
Hey, Fred,
Yeah,
can you share again the name of the site where you put these boards available? Tindy? How do you spell?
Yeah, it's Tango India November Delta India Echo.com, and you can look for the call sign. Two call sign. You can look for W6 IPA, like the beer, and W6 BSD, and you're gonna find those several projects where we've been building.
Thanks for sharing that. This is KI7PTT. I had a question for you. What made you choose that offshore site for making your PCBs? I've used Osh Park and been happy with their product. Was just price or?
It's so this one, for example, if you look at the relay board and the power injector, the BIST, those boards, it's all through hole, so there is no SMD. But one of the things is that we are using a GLC PCB in China. They're pretty cheap. They're cool. The thing works great. But also what they're doing is they're doing pick and place. So, for example, the board where you have all those tiny SMD components, that's what we're using. We're using the pick and place, and on those things, the price is pretty interesting. Yeah. If you had to do boards on the professional level, something more for a product, more professional, I would use something else.
I got it. But you're saying, are they the ones that are putting the Surface SMDs on there for you, or you have a pick and place access to one?
No. They're the one putting that.
Okay.
So it's kind of a pain because they don't have anything in stock. So what they have is they have a bunch of machines for the pick and place, and they put everything that is standard. So you're going to find the resistor, the capacitor, all those things, they're going to be standard. And then you're going to find some of the transistors, some of the MOSFET, but not all of them. So usually when we design those boards with my friend, what we do is we look at the catalog of the thing they have standard on their pick and place machine, and we try to use those components because otherwise then we're gonna have to solder them by hand. And that's what we've been doing. For example, on the Raspberry Pi thing, for example, the radio is not something that I will ever do on the pick and place. So those things, they're pretty easy to solder in place. To solder yourself.
Thanks for sharing that. That was very interesting.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fred. That's when you were showing us that, I'm like, that looks like professional products.
But what the thing is, I discovered is once you have everything figured out, to build a board like that is not super expensive, and it's way better than to have a breakboard with wires and it works well. And the only problem is when you have a bug and you need to redo the board. Takes some time. But yeah, I prefer to do that. It's a little bit more expensive, not that much, but you at the end you have something that works better and it's more solid and it's kind of cool.
Wow, thank you very much, Fred.
No problem.
Anybody want to follow Fred up with anything they've been working on?
You can look on my website if you are interested by project I've been doing. I'm going to post that on the chat.
Thank you.
There's not much, but there's few things. 0x9900.com. And
very nice.
And I have a couple of presentations also, but they're more for beginners, so maybe you won't be interested by that.
No, yeah, we're definitely interested in beginner stuff. A lot of us here are very advanced. However, not everybody is. So we really need a mix of beginner and not beginner stuff.
So, but if you have advanced people, you don't need someone, you have all the people you need to explain to the beginners what to do.
Yes.
I don't buy that we are all advanced here.
No, not nearly all of us.
Some of us are real amateurs in all senses.
And just because someone is advanced doesn't mean they know how to explain anything to anyone.
This is very true. Awesome. All right, so I think at this time, does anybody have any general comments or questions about the club or anything in ham radio in general before we kind of close the meeting and then go to kind of a social time? Yeah, Nick.
I just wanted to thank you, Max and Dan. You guys have done a good job to jump into action at the being forced to go into Zoom sessions. It's really been a good run of presentations and meetings. So thanks for putting that effort in. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick. Yeah, I'm glad that we had the help of Pete and John White and Dan and everybody else that and all our presenters that contributed to these great meetings this past almost year. We'll be doing meetings. I think our last meeting that we had in person was last February. So, and then starting in March, we actually started on Zoom meetings. I really encourage anybody that even if you are an expert in ham radio, join our beginning ham radio series that we're having every Thursday at 6 o'clock. We're sending out emails to the email list for that. And we've had a great response to that. We just finished our second one this last Thursday. And we've had, I think, at least 25 people on each of those 2 times. So it seems like there's a lot of people that are getting into ham radio. One reminder, Portland Amateur Radio Club does have a meetup.com account. So if you want to go there and just sign up as a member, feel free. Then you can see, I think we have at least 18 new members on there. And you'll get some emails and notices of the upcoming events there too. And then Bill, I think you put in a comment that if you're interested in QRP, building gear, portable operation, that we do have a QRPDX group. It's on groups.io, and this is in the chat, and it's groups.io /G/QRPDX. But if you sign up, I believe, just click on that link that's in the chat, and then you can just sign up. A reminder on the groups.io, you have a choice of what type of notifications that you want. So if you sign up for a particular group, you can have it send you a new email every time that somebody posts something new, or you can have a digest sent to you. And I believe it's at the end of 24 hours, it'll kind of package up all of the comments for that particular group and send it out. Or you can even just say no email. The issue with no email is then, of course, you would have to go into the groups.io site every time you wanted to take a look at any of the new posts that are in there.